Tomorrow, deep in the Saudi desert, Aston Martin isn't just revealing a car. As confirmed by Aston Martin F1, they're revealing Adrian Newey's first true weapon for the 2026 regulation reset. This is the moment Formula One changes forever. The coordinates are set for Dhahran, specifically the King Abdulaziz Center for World Culture, known locally as Itra. That is where the eyes of the motorsport world will lock in just under 24 hours. For months, anticipation has built around the choice of Itra as the launch venue, a location that represents Lawrence Stroll's final billion-dollar gambit to overthrow the Red Bull and Mercedes dynasties. Today is Sunday, February 8th, 2026, per time and date, and the tension is suffocating. We aren't just looking at another livery launch where a team slaps some new stickers on last year's chassis. The 2026 season marks the single biggest technical overhaul in the sport's history, with new engines, new aerodynamics, and smaller, lighter cars. And for the first time, Aston Martin enters this new era not as a customer team buying parts from Mercedes, but as a full factory works team with Honda power, and the greatest aerodynamicist in history, Adrian Newey, holding the pen. The choice of venue is no accident. By taking the AMR 26 reveal to Itra, a futuristic architectural marvel in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia, the team is sending a message. This isn't just a British racing team anymore, it is a global superpower backed by Aramco and the Public Investment Fund. But here is the twist that has everyone scrambling today. Just hours before this massive spectacle, rumors leaked that the development timeline is broken. Planet F1 reported that Adrian Newey himself admitted they started 4 months behind due to wind tunnel delays. Is it a classic sandbagging technique to lower expectations, or is the confusion real? We are standing on the precipice of a reveal that will either confirm Aston Martin as the new kings of the grid or expose a project in chaos. We need to discuss where this is happening because the location tells us everything about the money behind this operation. The reveal kicks off tomorrow at 18:15 GMT at Itra. If you haven't seen this place, look it up. It looks like a collection of massive, smooth stones intentionally left in the desert by an alien civilization. It is stunning, intimidating, and astronomically expensive. A perfect metaphor for what Lawrence Stroll has built. This isn't a damp warehouse in Silverstone. This is a statement of intent. The choice to launch here on the soil of their title sponsor Aramco solidifies the shift in power we have watched over the last 3 years. The Saudis aren't just sponsors anymore. They are the lifeblood of this team. As The Guardian reported, the Public Investment Fund owns a significant chunk of the road car business, and tomorrow's event is effectively a home game for the team's financial backers. It bridges the gap between the heritage of Gaydon and the ambition of Dhahran. But the glitzy building is just the wrapper. The bomb inside is the AMR 26. This is the first car that Adrian Newey has touched since his defect from Red Bull in early 2025. When he joined, he was named managing technical partner and a shareholder, but his fingerprints are all over this machine. The buzz from the shakedown at Barcelona last week was confusing, and I think that is exactly how Newey wants it. Rivals like James Vowles at Williams have already spotted something extreme on the rear suspension geometry. We are hearing reports of a suspension setup that defies conventional pushrod logic, something that manipulates the airflow in a way the new 2026 regulations, showcased by the FIA, were supposed to prevent. If Newey has found a loophole in the chassis rules before the first race even starts, the championship might be decided tomorrow night. He has done it before with the RB6 and the FW14B. The fear in the paddock is tangible. Because if that car rolls out onto the Itra stage with a double diffuser level trick, everyone else is racing for second place. If you are finding this breakdown of the 2026 season launch valuable, hit subscribe and the notification bell right now. We cover every breaking story from the paddock the second it drops. Now, let's get back to the engine controversy. Under the bodywork sits the other massive variable, the Honda RA626H power unit. For the first time, Aston Martin is a works team. They are no longer bolting in a Mercedes gearbox and engine that was designed for a different chassis. This engine was developed by Honda specifically for the 2026 regulations, and since joining, Newey has had to aggressively improve the chassis packaging around it. Formula One confirmed. Honda has been working on this 2026 spec unit since they announced their return, and they don't mess around. Remember, Honda's own records show they powered Max Verstappen to dominance. But the integration is the risk. We saw Honda engineers swarming the garage in Barcelona, laptops plugged into ports we have never seen before. The relationship between the British chassis team and the Japanese engine technicians is notoriously difficult to perfect in year one. If the cooling packaging is too aggressive, a classic Newey trait, we could see a fast car that cooks itself in the Bahrain heat. Tomorrow's reveal will give us our first look at the side pod inlets. If they are tiny, you know Newey has won the packaging war. Here's the massive issue that no one wants to address. Adrian Newey went on record just days ago saying the team is 4 months behind where they should be. He blamed the delays on the new wind tunnel at the Silverstone campus not coming online until April 2025. In Formula One terms, 4 months is a lifetime. It is the difference between winning and not making Q3. But seasoned paddock insiders are skeptical. This feels like a carefully curated narrative to lower stock market expectations and relieve pressure on Lawrence Stroll and Fernando Alonso. If they come out and dominate, Newey looks like a miracle worker who overcame a delay. If they fail, he has a pre-built excuse. But Newey insists they waited. He claims they didn't put a model in the tunnel until April to ensure correlation with the new facility. It is highly unlikely a team with this budget simply sat on their hands until April. I suspect the delay was actually a pivot in design philosophy, when Newey walked through the door and threw the original plans in the trash. Fernando Alonso is 44 years old. He signed that extension through 2026 specifically for this car. He didn't stay for the money. He stayed because Newey and Honda promised him a championship-capable machine. Tomorrow isn't just a car launch for him. It is the reveal of his legacy's final chapter. If the AMR 26 is a dud, Alonso walks away quietly into the night. If it is a rocket, we are about to see the most aggressive driving of the modern era. He has been haunting the simulator room in Silverstone, reportedly logging more hours than the junior drivers. His reaction tomorrow on stage will tell us everything. Alonso has a terrible poker face when he knows the car is bad. Just remember the McLaren Honda days. Watch his body language at Itra. If he is smiling and joking with Lawrence Stroll, buy stock in Aston Martin. If he looks like he is fulfilling a contractual obligation, panic. In a move that clearly targets Gen Z, Aston Martin has partnered exclusively with TikTok for an extended live cut of the launch. They are broadcasting from Itra directly to vertical screens worldwide, hosted by creators like Jolie Sharp. This tells us they aren't just targeting the petrol heads, they are trying to convert the Drive to Survive casuals into hardcore Green Army fans. It is a smart play, but it risks trivializing the engineering if they spend too much time on influencers and not enough on the diffuser strakes. The contrast will be jarring, seeing Adrian Newey, the most old-school engineer in the sport who still draws on a drafting board, standing next to TikTok creators doing viral dances. It encapsulates the weird identity crisis of modern F1. But make no mistake, the data coming from that live stream will be analyzed by sponsors just as closely as the telemetry. Don't be surprised if the AMR 26 isn't the only machine on stage. The 2026 Aston Martin Valhalla is hitting the streets this year, and the marketing combination is too good to pass up. The Valhalla is effectively the road-going cousin of tomorrow's F1 car, using similar hybrid deployment strategies and chassis concepts. They need to sell these 999 units to recoup the massive R&D spend. Rumor has it they might show a track edition Valhalla alongside the F1 car to bridge the gap. This matters because it justifies the F1 budget to the shareholders. If the F1 tech makes the road cars faster, the billions spent on racing are a marketing expense, not a loss. Watch for specific mentions of tech transfer tomorrow. That is the code word for please buy our road cars so we can keep racing. The timing of this launch is aggressive. McLaren is also pulling the covers off the MCL 40 tomorrow. It is a direct head-to-head battle for media attention. Aston Martin chose Saudi Arabia to dominate the morning news cycle in Europe and the evening cycle in Asia, trying to drown out whatever Zak Brown is doing in Bahrain. It is petty, it is calculated, and it is fantastic entertainment. McLaren enters as the reigning champion, while Aston Martin looks to recover from 7th. But now, they are fighting for the same eyeballs. By going to Itra and putting on a show that looks more like a Grand Prix opening ceremony than a car launch, Aston is trying to big league McLaren. They want to look like the main event. So what does this actually mean for us watching at home? The 2026 regulations were designed to level the playing field, to stop one team from winning 20 races in a row. But history shows us that big rule changes usually do the opposite, allowing one genius to find a silver bullet and destroy the competition for 3 years. Tomorrow, we find out if Aston Martin has found that bullet. If the AMR 26 is as radical as the rumors suggest, we could be looking at the start of the Silverstone era. It would vindicate Lawrence Stroll's aggressive hiring. It would crown Alonso as the greatest all-rounder of all time, and it would cement Newey's status as a god among engineers. But there is a darker timeline. If the wind tunnel delays were real, and if the Honda engine integration is buggy, this could be the most expensive flop in sporting history. The implications go beyond racing. A failure here could see the Saudis tighten the purse strings or push for that privatization deal we kept hearing about last November. We are watching a high-wire act with no safety net. The car that sits under that sheet at Itra represents the hopes of thousands of employees and the ego of a billionaire who refuses to lose. Tomorrow, the sheet comes off, and there will be nowhere left to hide. Whether the AMR 26 is a masterpiece or a disaster, tomorrow's reveal at Itra marks the true beginning of the 2026 season. We will be live reacting to every detail, so if you don't want to miss the technical breakdown of Newey's latest creation, make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching.